So here is yet another YouTube channel wanting to talk about politics and culture war. Another person whose life and profession seemingly having nothing to do with this field, thinking that his opinion is something that needs to be heard by the masses. Why should you listen to me? Why should my opinion matter? That's a good question. A very good question, in fact. It's such a good question that I wish you'd ask it a lot more often. Before I go into who I am, let's think about that question a bit more. I've seen people from all sides of the aisles gain massive followings on YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all the social media, from merely saying some variation of, "I just know something's wrong," or "the people in power are bad." And the more simple and repetitive they can be, the more and more success they will find. People don't find success in this sphere by making long and detailed posts about the differences of micro and macroeconomic theory, and how they shift based on the size and production scale of a business or nation. They find their success by saying, "Other guy's dumb, economy bad, give me money for more news and updates." Imagine you're driving around in your car. Some real nasty sound starts coming from under your hood, and the check engine light goes on. You take it to a quote-unquote mechanic. You find out later that the guy is a self-professed mechanic because he watched some YouTube vids, but you don't know that yet. He's got the jumpsuit on and says this is in his wheelhouse. What more do you need? You ask him what the problem is, and he tells you that you don't need to be a mechanic to see that the car is not driving properly. The tire industry is making bad tires that pop easily, and they're making money off of our blood and our backs. You look at him like he was nuts. Who cares about the tires right now? He then goes on a rant about tire industries, brings up the Firestone tire controversy from the 90s, and all this other stuff that is factually correct, but otherwise irrelevant. He says something about how you're the one trying to change the subject now, after you got owned with facts and logic. Because you can't say he was wrong. I mean, he pulled up links. Therefore, he was smart. He knows what's going on. Somehow you finally get back on the topic of the engine, and he tells you not to worry. He's seen plenty of YouTube videos on taking engines apart. You worry that watching YouTube videos won't be enough for something as complex as taking apart an engine, and then trying to find the problem. But the mechanic claps back with, "Excuse me, which one of us is in the mechanic suit?" As the conversation goes on, you find out he's only watched videos on the engines of Bentleys. That's a problem because you own a Nissan. You bring this up, and he again claps back by saying, unlike you, he's actually watched videos on engines. I mean, he's been right this entire time. You have not watched videos on engines. You inherently know that an engine from two completely different car brands, from two completely different continents, will not be the same. But the mechanic brings up his experience. He's even got a massive following of people who really liked his takes on those Firestone tires, because it was all true, and he's fighting for the little guy by showing you his links. So anyway, the engine gets taken apart and everything is destroyed. He couldn't find out what exactly was wrong, but he doesn't need all the answers to know that the engine light was on and it was making a bad sound. If you kept driving it, the car would have exploded. If anything, he saved your life. So you should be thankful. You tried to complain, but he keeps bringing up how Bentleys are one of the best cars around. Look at these other articles he has to show you that Bentleys are high-class cars. If he just applied the Bentley engine videos to the Nissan more, it would have worked. Trust me guys, don't let this distract you from the Firestone tire controversy that this stupid customer tries to pretend doesn't exist. He looks upon the wreckage of the automobile, places a hand on your shoulder, and quietly says, with a tear in his eye, "The West has fallen." We can all laugh at the silly analogy, sure, but this is what we see, and have seen, overtaking the zeitgeist of politics and culture. You don't need to boost your intelligence or your wisdom, you just need to boost your charisma. And from there, you don't need to inspire anyone to follow you specifically, but rather stand against the others, whoever those others might be. And the stronger a case you can make for standing against another, the more people will follow you, as compared to you arrogantly making a case for yourself. In fact, it would do me good to just keep my mouth shut and keep going down this route of pointing fingers at everyone else. And Lord knows that will be happening a lot with me, but not so much at the obviously mentally deficient folks, but instead the snake-like grifters that are already within my own gates. But I also recognize that this path will not actually make things better, not by itself. I suppose that's one of the major things that would differentiate me from the others. I don't wish to just make out like a bandit while everything burns down around me. I don't want to be like one of those people who constantly cries, "Civil war is coming! Therefore, you should give me all of your money so I can continue to say, Civil war is coming. And when it actually does come, I'm going to take all that money and go live in a van down by the river. That van will probably be attached to a giant mansion, but I'm humble, I swear. Just look at my humble clothing." So what can I really say to convince you? I can say that I've done what everyone calls taking the red pill about government, culture, and society all the way back in 2004. I can say that I've extensively studied a litany of important subjects. I've cracked open more books on any individual topic than most people have cracked open books. And this journey began before YouTube even existed. There was no money-making path in all that I was studying. It was a passion for the sake of the subjects, not a quick monetary gain. Governments, economics, psychology, war, industry and development, art, philosophy, and many more. And in each of those subjects, branching off into sometimes real niche and abstract moments and concepts. Whether it be the Byzantine art of war, or the history before and after Alexander the Great, books on revolutions that completely changed the game on how you view them. Written in 1980, or as far back as 1950, that, even just in the opening pages, you can recognize that these men are onto something, as their words resonated with all that you were viewing in the current year. But that's not enough. All I'm doing is waving my nuts around going, "Look at me, I'm an intellectual." For the record, I spit on intellectuals. All theory, no practice. I tend to actually try and put what I study into practice. Well, at least what I can. I can't exactly do a one-for-one recreation of Alexander the Great's army, so I can test out his mind-bogglingly genius skills in logistics. But I can at least learn the importance of things like logistics, pick up a few tricks here and there, and see how simple changes can make massive differences, and apply it to the business I have built. A business I initially launched in 2010, but shut it down after a year because it became apparent of how little foundation of knowledge I actually had, being a measly 20 years old. When I reopened in 2015, with a lot more studying and knowledge behind me, I've been able to keep it open for over 9 years now. And I've learned so much from experience that I would never be able to learn from mere study. So that's a major important difference I have. I don't want to talk about building culture. I want to just build culture. I don't want to theorize about creating a better reality around me. I want to actually do it. I don't want to complain that businesses are woke and bow down to the mob. I want to build my businesses so it's not woke and will never bow down to the mob. If anything, I'll build it in a way that the mob ends up bowing down to me. That's probably the most important fundamental element that will separate me from the rest, I think. Actually putting in some work in ways that go beyond mere YouTube videos. I don't have to make these promises on it, I'm already doing it! And that is without millions and millions of dollars at my disposal, where I ask you for more money, and your money funds me doing more ad reads so I can ask you for more money. I don't have to keep promising you that things will be coming, because it is exciting in that way, isn't it? The hype around something is almost always more exciting than the product itself. That zone of probability that people enter lets you imagine things that bring you much delight, while the work and toil of actually doing something is not as appealing. That's how many charlatans, especially in this day and age, have made the riches. And while my main goal is to actually build something, I do recognize that sometimes you'll need to tear down certain structures that are in the way. The videos here will range from the topic of the day type posts to more thoughtful and insightful vids. They won't be heavily edited, as you can tell, so they can be listened to more like a podcast than watched like a video. There will be no upload schedule, as I do have a business to run after all. I doubt this video alone will be enough for you, but if my future works show that maybe I am someone worth supporting in this venture, you can check out my website, where I sell teas, coffee, and soap. Being an anime fan is purely optional, don't worry. And yes, these are my products, not another business I outsource to. I mix the teas, roast and grind the coffee, and I make the soaps. Why this element of getting my hands dirty in the actual business is so important will be a topic for another video. I don't have a Patreon or Subscribestar, but I do have a similar service on my site called Dragon's Wings. You can go check it out there. This channel is not necessarily a part of the business, as this is T-Man's empire, not the Dragon's empire. But the business does support me and allow me to make these vids. You know the drill. Like the video, comment, subscribe, and most importantly, share so more eyes will get on this channel.